Welcome back to the Himalayan webinar series, module 21, Western Ladakh. As usual, we are live every morning at 8 o'clock on Zoom. Recordings posted on Insta, TV, Facebook, YouTube, and my blog, ultrajourneys.org. So in this module, we're going to focus on the western side region of Ladakh along the Indus Valley. Here you can see a nice picture of one of these interior villages, Ursi village, like a small green oasis in this high altitude desert of Ladakh. Very similar landscape as we saw in the Sarab and the Zanskar modules. Okay, so we'll start off from Lamayuru, a town with some historical monastery on the Srinagar-Leh highway, and from there get into the interior mountains through the Pringtila, the Kongstila, the Lanakla, the Dundunshanla, the Sminopnila, the Mangiula, the Iptila, and the Tarla. So 8 passes to make a beautiful circular traverse through, as you can see here, for example, the Ritchar Valley, one of these interior valleys south of the main Barren Indus Valley. As you can see, mostly a pretty barren rock desert type of landscape, but you'll be surprised to see the villages, the settlements, and you can see that layer of green, that green vegetation on top of the desert-like mountain landscape. Okay, so let's take a look at the map. So when we talk about Ladakh here, we can look at the Indus Valley here flowing through, here is Leh, the main town. So we're basically going to focus on a circular traverse between Lamayuru, Wanla, Sumda, Alchi, around this 5,653 meter high peak, kind of through an interior valley here. You can see the hiking trail, and then also on the other side, high above the main Indus Valley, getting stunning views on Indus below. So far, we have covered some 3 traverses already. We had a look at the Sarab Traverse here, flowing from Sarchu towards Zanskar. Then in Zanskar, we had 2 modules ago, we had a circular traverse from Padum along the Glugnak to Tantak Shade and then back to Zangla. In one of the initial module 10s, we had a traverse planning session, which took us from Kanji along the Kanjila and various interior passes, Orna River Valley to Zanskar. Today we're going to talk, as mentioned, about this traverse, the Western Ladakh Traverse, and then we'll go a little bit east in the next one, where we'll do a beautiful traverse across some 5-6 passes around the Stok Kangri, the Stok range, basically. Okay, so one good thing about Ladakh is it's quite touristic. A lot of hikers you will find there, European hikers. As a result, a lot of the trails, the passes, the campsites, any other useful information will be available on OpenStreetMap. So with OSM, you can easily navigate offline through these regions by showing your position directly on the map. So very easy to find your way. Here's on OpenStreetMaps, the traverse we'll be planning. So we'll start from the highway here, Lamayuru. We'll jump over a path towards Wanla. Wanla is a little town. Wanla Panjila here is a town towards basically a road that goes towards Lingshet, which we passed previously through an internal traverse from Kanji to Zanskar. At Panji, we'll take a left and go through an interior valley here over one pass to Sumda Chengon, which will reach close to the Zanskar River, from where it will then join the Indus River. So we'll take a left here over the Sminopila to Alchi, where there is a very old monastery, very famous. A lot of tourists from Leh go there. Follow the main Indus Valley a little to again escape through 2 interior passes to the interior village of Tar, from where we can cross over this range back to reach to Panjila. Voila, here are the 8 passes that we'll be crossing. So here you can see the altitude. So anything in Ladakh typically will be followed above 4,000 meters, will go up till 5,150. Of course, more than the altitude, absolute altitude, it's the relative ascent and descent that will matter from the starting and destination villages. In terms of difficulty level, you can see here nothing really too difficult except maybe the Stapskila compared to, like, say, the Pir Panjal, where most of the passes are quite treacherous and difficult in level. So Ladakh is a good place to start hiking with a lot of easy and moderate options. Here we see then a Google Earth image of the same thing. We have the Indus Valley here, which flows to Alchi and eventually to Lamayuru. So we'll be hiking across several passes, several kind of ridges that eventually get into the Indus Valley. This is the peak which we saw on the previous maps, 5,600-meter high peak on around which we'll be circling. On this side, we have the two interior valleys or streams. One is the Ripchar Valley, which flows from the Kongskila north, and one is the Sunda Fu, which flows from the Kongkila southeast, you can say, and joins eventually the Zanskar River near the town of Chilling. So we'll nicely traverse this circular around this high range, basically, which goes in parallel with the Indus Valley. So here we can see the same range in 3D. So it's mentioned as Shukshlansar, not sure about the name of the peak. So we're basically rotating along this range. And so we have pretty beautiful interior kind of traverse. Okay, let's get started. So as I mentioned, we start from the Srinagar-Leh highway around the town of Lamayuru. Basically has some ancient monasteries there. As you know, Srinagar Manali, Leh highway is pretty old, barren, dusty, the rocky landscape. But as you pass these settlements like Lamayuru, everywhere, people have settled, they are farming, they're self-sufficient, they don't order their food with Swiggy, they make their own, grow their own food. So that typically happens by irrigation from a side stream. So we have a little green oasis in the desert. From here, we get off the highway into an interior part of Ladakh, which is pretty, here close to the Printila, the first pass, pretty barren and very less kind of greenery at this point. After getting down from the Printila, we join somewhere near Panjila, initially Wanla and then Panjila, which are on the way to Lingshets, the interior place we passed several modules ago. Whenever you pass these towns, it's really beautiful. Panjila is again a small settlement, maybe 20 houses, but extremely green, like an amazing contrast in this, how people can create something so green, so fertile in this barren high altitude desert, which is a major rain shallow area. So only the meltwater of the glaciers and the snow in the main valleys irrigates these places. Then we come across some beautiful interior villages like Hinju, which is a bit touristic, a lot of homestays here. There's a kind of a particular famous trekking route from Panjila, Hinju, and then eventually over the Konskila. So a lot of homestays and beautiful Ladakhi kitchens, displaying all the kitchen utensils. Here it's nice also in Hinju. We have some 10 homestays in a village which probably have only 15 houses, and you have a big board basically displaying all the homestays. Whenever the next party of visitors comes, they keep rotating, actually. They keep moving you to the next homestays, distributing the economical benefit of tourism to everyone in the village. Voila, as we climb up then from Hinju down the valley, we go slowly up towards the Konskila. So here again, as usual, Peter's number one mistake is trying to do as much as possible in a single day. So crossing the Konskila again a little bit towards the evening, you can see the weather changing here. Started drizzling a bit. Still, okay, I said, let's push it over. Let's not waste 2 hours, get over the pass and try to find a place to hold after the pass. Beautiful views here, by the way. On the way to the pass, we also saw like tens of wild yaks grazing. This is at an altitude of plus 4,000 meters in the evening, rainy, cold wind. So of course these guys don't bother much with their thick fur. Quite friendly, I mean, they keep an eye on you, but if you don't bother them, they're not gonna charge at you, even though they look pretty ferocious. Then here is the pass Konskila, so close to the pass. We're touching the snow actually. This is in the month of August in 2019. So snowfall was pretty heavy the last previous winter. As a result, still a good amount of snow. If we take a quick look, Konskila, 4,900, almost 5,000 meter height. So above 5,000 meters, I guess the snow did not melt much. Then we get down in the beautiful Sunda Fu Valley, where you'll see amazing colors here. On the Google Earth, you also saw those patches of red rock, beautiful gradients, with that fine layer of green vegetation due to some recent rains, which are very unusual here. But again, due to climate changes in recent years, you even see some unusual vegetation appearing in this high altitude desert. Well, a little bit late to get to the next village, also unknown, this valley to me. So as I found some old abandoned settlement with some ruins in Chalu Dong, Do on the map, on the OSM map, I decided to settle down, safe from the rain, but safe from possible predators by having at least some kind of shelter. Then further, the next morning, I came across my first human settlement here, which is basically a yakharder. You can see a lot of poop here, so not yakar, it could be sheep and or cattle. Person staying here, you can see the enclosures where he stays, probably keeps all the animals inside because again, in the night, the nocturnal predators will be on the prowl. Beautiful landscapes on the way. You can see those snow peaks again above 5,000 meters that we're touring around, and then into the valleys, Barren, beautiful caves here, highly erosive landscape, waterfalls coming down, beautiful views in the Sunda Fu Valley. Here again, as we saw in Google Earth, those red patches in the terrain, like unearthly landscape again with the cloud formations on top, and then all these unusual colors which you don't see in many other parts of the world. On the right side, on the southern side actually of this valley, you can see high-ranging, very majestic spikes, kind of pinnacles coming up, very impressive. Then we come to the first inhabited settlement. As you can see, the farm fields are in full bloom here. Every village again gets bounded by these, these stones, mani stones that have Tibetan prayers written on them. They typically border both sides of the village, probably to keep them safe from evil. You come across this beautiful settlement, which is also clearly documented here on OSM. OSM is amazing. You can even see the gompas, the individual houses, the trails, the springs, the campsites, the side rivers, and in yellow displayed here, the farmlands. Beautiful village in the middle of nowhere, very remote, one-day walk almost from the nearest road neck, close to Chilling, near the Zanskar Valley. Many places in Ladakh and Zanskar, you'll find these wild roses, very bright pink, stark contrast with the brown landscape. So then as we climb up to the, in Lasgo, there is a split in the stream. So there we climb up on a ridge to the first pass, the Lanakla. Along the way to the Lanakla, you find some old settlements again, deserted, but you can still see the fundament of those shelters. And this again looks like a very beautiful settlement, like a flat space, water nearby. So people used to irrigate and farm here many years ago before they give up on these barren places and left for a comfortable life in the cities. As we go then to the Dungdung Shenla, before hitting the Zanskar Valley, we come at a high point and we see beautiful views here on the Indus Valley far away, below the high ranges that separate the Indus Valley from the Nubra Valley. Here you have the Zanskar River flowing, and on the right side will be close to Marka Valley. So if you look at the gradients here, amazing landscape, all shades of pink, brown, orange, deep red, purple. Unusual, it's like you're walking on a different planet. So then the final stretch from the Dungdung Shenla towards Chilling, you go through a little small stream which still seems powerful enough to cut through, again, a highly erosive landscape. So a little bit tricky here and there to cross the stream as it keeps snaking left, right through this narrow gorge. Finally, we come near the Zanskar Valley, where we can see a big army of BRO, the Border Road Organization workers, building a new 2-lane highway to connect Zanskar and Ladakh. So a little doubtful in my mind, as huge investments to build road in this kind of highly erosive landscape, which again will incur huge annual maintenance costs. Voila, then it's time for a food resupply after 2 days in the wild, and before we take again a U-turn back to where we came from. Small daba around Sumdo Do along the road, along the highway here, connecting, chilling with the Indus Valley. Friendly people, pick up some food, and then again we get in an internal valley. They're surprising to see. The government is putting up beautiful roads, putting up electricity to some very remote settlements. Again, will be high in maintenance as this infrastructure keeps being destroyed, as the terrain, I mean the landscapes rocks keeping falling down all the time. So we come then to the last town of Sumda Chushung here, which has a beautiful 11th century monastery. So we're in Ladakh here, remember, so overall Buddhist religion is found. Beautiful construction, very colorful, kind of famous also, accessible with the road. So from nearby Leh, you get some tourist inflow. Inside the monastery, you can see these beautiful 3D carved rock walls, very beautiful display of Buddhist religion. Here you can see like something that was at least an 8-meter high Buddha statue inside this Ladakhi monastery with those typically Ladakhi wooden roofs on top from wood. Okay, so there I get to meet 2 Israeli guys who are also hiking kind of alpine style like me. 2 amazing guys, having been to many beautiful places around the world. So we exchange numbers and we stay in touch, give each other some tips as we share our itineraries for the coming weeks through interior Ladakh. Voila, so from that town of Sumda Chushung, we get up to the Sminopila to basically get back into the Indus River Valley. This is a side valley, steep down, almost 1,000+ meter drop, which will eventually join the main Indus Valley. The way to this pass was very challenging. So this pass I probably marked as difficult. There was a lot of loose scree here. The trail almost disappeared. So you're just navigating on the open street map, trail shown on the map, and trying to stay on that trail, even though you don't find it on the ground. That's completely destroyed by these falling rocks. Very soft, I mean, very slopey and very soft. So with every step almost, you sink 1 step back inside. So extremely difficult to climb up. This is almost 5,150 meters, I believe. So high altitude, low oxygen, of solid, firm food hold. So you're actually exhausting yourself. From the top of the Sminopila, excellent views on the Indus Valley below. You can still see at 5,100 meters, even later in August, still nicely covered with snow. So a little bit tricky at the first descent on the other side, as it was still like frozen kind of ice, so a bit slippery to get initially down. And there in the horizon, you can see the high ranges again, which separate the Indus Valley from the Nubra Valley, which will eventually then lead to the Pakistan site. Coming down from Sminopila, you can see initially some steep rock traverses here, and then actually quite a beautiful trail into the meadows. The meadows, actually the vegetation, holds the landscape together and keep the trail intact. Finally, we get onto the Indus Valley, from where we have to walk almost 20 kilometers on the opposite side of the Indus, opposite side from the highway, the Srinagar Manali Leh highway. And then in the town of Gira, again, get inside interior to a place called Sapta at the base of the next pass, where I don't see too much of hospitality, so I just settle down in the middle of the farmlands below some trees to be treated in the night on the beautiful glow of the Milky Way on top of me. Peaceful night before I further climb up towards the Mangiula. As we climb up in this barren landscape, again, you can see that similar, it's almost like a moon landscape, like complete lack of vegetation, different worlds. But seeing those little villages, then Sapta there, where I spend the night, it's amazing how the people created small ecosystems here. Here is the Mangiula, so we're not crossing into another interior valley here, we're just crossing over ridges that are sites flowing down to the main Indus Valley. Down there, steep below, and this is one of the side valleys that will join the Indus Valley. You can see again those settlements, green oasis in the barren, unusually textured landscape of Ladakh. Finally, we come into a fertile, after crossing another pass, the Hiptila, by the way, we come into a beautiful fertile oasis again, the remote village of Tar, very green, like a small, it's almost like you're in a normal part of the Western Ghats, but surrounded by desert, so rock desert, very unusual, stark contrast. So from there, I start my way up along the Tar Valley, the Tar River, where I meet a local person who explains me on some of the edible plants which can be found at even this high ranges, this desert. Here is a plant which you can actually, even in Belgium, my mom used to make jam with this. It's called a rabarber in Dutch, not sure on the local English name. But you can suck juice from this plant. I've seen it in many places deep inside Zanskar, especially near the higher altitudes, 5,000 meters and above. It gives you juice, gives you like a bit of a sour kind of flesh that is a good backup in case you fall low on food ration. Beautiful desert flora. So even though you're in a rock desert here, it's amazing how do they say, the persistence of life in these places. Beautiful colors, all types of probably flowers and plants that have certain medicinal values. Here is then the final steep descent to the Tarla, a hairpin. Whenever you see a hairpin, that means it's too steep to go straight up, so the hairpinning it. In this case, it's not too steep, it seems, as the trail is still intact, unlike the Stapskila from where we started. Then again, we get into the Ripchar Valley, the village of Hinju, where we passed at the beginning of this presentation. You can see a beautiful top view here on the Ripchar Valley. Again, you see those green oases along the valley where the people have been able to make a self-sustained living space. And as we get down then to the first village of Fursu, again, a beautiful contrast, deep green with orange and brown deserts looking mountains around it. Stunning to walk through this kind of landscape. Finally, I end up back at the small town of Panjila on the road back to Wanla and the Leh Srinagar highway, where it's here you actually come towards the road that leads to Lingshat interior village, which we crossed in a couple of modules back, connected by road. So here I decide to wait for the bus the next morning, find a small little shop, Daba, where friendly gentleman there in a kind of Buddhist monkey outfit invites me to sleep over on the bed along the roadside. Peaceful sleep, again below, dreaming deeply below the milky dust as I think back of the beautiful traverse of Western Ladakh. Voila, if you want to know more, as usual, check out my blog, ultrajourneys.org, where you will find detailed daily write-ups, photos, videos, maps on these beautiful places. See you guys tomorrow for an equally beautiful traverse in around the Stock Range. Ciao.